We have a lot more power than we think at times. We're constrained, obviously, in a lot of different ways to be able to accumulate too much, but we can do just that and declare our independence by holding gold and silver. I'll explain how as we explore. Now, obviously, for most of us, obtaining gold and silver requires a number of these. That's right, fiat currency is the dollar, which is losing value. This is a debt instrument, and debt is slavery. Freedom comes by having money that persists and maintains its value. Those of us that understand history and the founders know this because Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution states that nothing but gold and silver shall be used as money between the states. And so certainly this is a profound thing that has never been challenged in the courts, which is why many states, in a sense, are declaring independence a second time by having gold and silver being recognized as legal tender, or at the very least removing taxation from gold and silver, so that you can accumulate it to protect your wealth. Now, it is the 259th anniversary of the day that the document was sent to the King of England, King George III, that declares independence. We ought to be free and independent states. And with that, obviously, comes not only to sever the binds that has resulted in a lot of problems over the years that have been building up, really even before the Stamp Act of 1765. Nonetheless, one thing is for sure, taxation without representation and all the other grievances that the colonies had at the time, well, we're facing a lot of that today. Our government really has gotten to a point now where we're spending so much money and government's involved in so much more than it should be and has gotten much bigger than it should be, that there's only really one way that we can really protect ourselves personally from that, because it all involves the eroding of the dollar. With the money that is spent, much of it on programs that we don't approve, we can't hold gold and silver outside of the system. Long before there were any countries out there, and it was the time of kingdoms, essentially, gold and silver has been money. And it has survived epochs, generations, time and space, to the point where it is now today. It's almost coming back full circle. We're not full circle yet in terms of a society recognizing gold and silver. Make no mistake about that. But you and I can come full circle by holding these metals. And even though it does take dollars, it does take fiat currencies, and you're beholden to the market. You have to participate in the market because you are buying it based off of the spot price that the market holds. Well, you are empowering yourselves by holding that wealth outside of the system. Channel sponsor Summit Metals is a place you can go to find gold and silver. So check them out. They have a growing selection, fair prices, and excellent service. So check out summitmetals.com. Now, when we look at gold and silver, we see before you here modern examples that are derived from two pieces of legislation. One in 1985 that created the American Eagle program, and that is in silver and gold. And then one in 2005 that created the Buffalo gold coin, the purest of the American gold coins that are out there. And that is where we're at today to be able to accumulate these. And if you have accumulated these silver and gold coins when the prices were much lower than where they're at right now, you are seeing an exact example of financial freedom. Yes, indeed. You're seeing it grow above and beyond, in many cases, inflation, depending how and when you bought. So that is empowering, and it is freeing. It is an independence mindset because you're not dependent on anything else other than the intrinsic value, which is based on history, that guides gold and silver. yes, we are at the whim of the markets when we need to sell, but I think holding on is so powerful. And the longer you hold your gold and silver, the more empowering it is. And the longer you declare independence. Why? Well, because you're holding your wealth outside of dollars or any other fiat currency that's beholden to any nation or any policy that governments entail. No, indeed, you are holding the gold and silver that are, yes, in a sense, beholden to the market conditions that measure its price, but that changes through time. And no matter whether you believe in price suppression or not, in the long run, you will do very well. And at the very least, you will protect your wealth against economic instability, against inflation, and yes, even against deflation, which is a problem. And it is something that could happen in an economic crisis. So that is things that we should consider when we're buying and holding precious metals. But the Constitution is our guide. But today, we celebrate the Declaration of Independence against an overbearing kingdom at the time, and we, as colonies, became 13 independent states as recognized by the Treaty of Paris in 1783. But the 1776 event started it. Some believe it was actually July the 2nd, but nonetheless, the date on the document itself is July the 4th. And really, in a sense, when in the course of human events, well, we're looking at right now examples of that liberty and freedom that's set before you here, the ideals of which are emblazoned on the coins by Adolf Wyman. Lady Liberty, yes indeed, striding towards the west, as you see her here walking in a stride with the sun before her there, and that is really quite profound. That is really what it's about there, Lady Liberty walking. And then you see Lady Liberty striding forward. In this example here, as designed by Augustus St. Gaudens. And this is where she's coming right towards you with the sun behind her in a case, looking forward to a future of hope and what liberty brings with it. And it's pretty amazing. Where liberty, in a sense, is a government recognized and codified freedom. And we have that freedom because freedom, in a sense, comes from God. It's just when governments recognize it, well, it becomes liberty. And it is so the case with all of our coins, and it is required by law that liberty be stamped on these coins. Struck from dies, for sure, and one of the most beautiful designs, iconic ever, and for sure. And then we have the native animal, the buffalo, that roams free and had roamed free for many years. It came close to extinction, but that is purely American with a buffalo. And of course, the eagle represents certainly the a form of freedom as well too. Although this design is, I think, not a very good design, does not exude confidence or strength by any means, as the eagle is coming in for a landing, bringing the olive branch into the nest, presumably. But the eagle looks kind of downtrodden with its wing clipped. But nonetheless, I prefer the heraldic eagle, as designed by John Mercanti, that exudes strength and confidence as a part of the, essentially, representation of the presidential seal, although this is different and unique with the shield, having the branch and then the arrows as well. You know, peace, strength is a profound ideal, as mentioned by Ronald Reagan, and is part of his policy, and utilized even to this very day. But nonetheless, there it is, and today we celebrate independence, and I would encourage you to read the Declaration of Independence yourself to remind us what this country is about. And if you are from a different nation around the world, I encourage you to read it as well. I think it's so important to understand the ideals and what set this country apart. You know, there's this idea of American exceptionalism, which does not mean that we are better than anybody else in any other nation around the world. No, we are a nation essentially of immigrants through the course of time that has built and assimilated itself upon these ideals, from which, you know, the ideas of free enterprise and be able to have the liberty to be able to do and grow and to prosper and invent and based off of the foundations of limited government. That is what makes America exceptional. We're the exception to the rule, as we're the first nation to be able to be founded upon limiting what government can do, rather than emboldening government, which essentially squelches, it enslaves, and it prevents growth and human prosperity. This is why the United States is the greatest nation on earth, is because it empowers people, and not the other way around. If this kind of system was set up in any other nation that is not corrupted, well, they would thrive as well too. Which is why there's so many of the prosperous people that have come from other nations through the course of our history that have done very, very well and invented and performed great things under the American system. So there you have it. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section below. Happy Independence Day to you all. And I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.